part because of faked videos of this sort, a lot of people believe the TR3-b has never and did never exist. In this video though, we're going to ask the question, why does a patent exist that looks an awful lot like the vehicle we're seeing in this video? If you are new to my channel, please like, subscribe, hit that bell notification, it really does help us out.
So, the Tic Tac video could be next-gen drone technology. And I think it would make sense that they would try to test that sort of technology against their own Air Force. You would sort of drop it in and see if your planes can track it.
Yeah.
You know? So, I always found it funny that the Americans released these videos and then said, we don't know what it is. And I thought, that's odd. They're so used to lying, that's odd. And then I started seeing these patents start to appear, right? And it's Salvatore Pais, P-A-I-S. So I'm going with Pay is his name.
Yeah.
An inventor.
Quite hard to pronounce his surname myself, to be honest, but
no, Pace, whatever. Anyway, so 2018, they initially put these patents in.
yes.
They've then fought it for years, and they've just recently, in the last couple of months, been granted these patents. Now, to be granted a patent, you have to show that the technology is viable, exists, and potentially is operational. And they called this operable. The lawyers said this technology is actually operable.
Yep.
So, what's technology? I hear you say. Dun, dun, dun. It's basically. Well, the one vehicle he said he's done is that there's the hybrid aerospace underwater craft. And it's exactly what you discussed. A vehicle, triangular shaped, that can travel between air and water with no difference.
Yeah.
No effect.
Which would indicate to me, like I said before, that they've managed to get rid of 100% of the mass and the inertial effects of the craft and its occupants. Yeah, and when you look into the patent for this, it's very interesting, isn't it, that it basically says exactly that, that it reduces the mass of the vehicle to pretty much zero, doesn't it, by creating a basically like a vacuum or like a vortex.
They call it creates a quantum vacuum. They call it vacuum. It's the high energy field generator, which the lawyer said is operable. Yeah, it creates a quantum vacuum. They've also got a patent by the same guy for a room temperature superconductor.
Yes.
Now that's a game changer. Yeah, that is a game changer. So, I mean, if you can have a superconductor that you don't have to. When we mentioned the black man, they believe that the lights that you see in the three corners of the TR3-b are this pressurized mercury-based plasma. You have to pressurize it to 250,000 atmospheres. You have to rotate it. You have to
super cool it. I believe. And
super
as
cool,
well.
super cooled. Yeah. With this superconductor, all that stuff goes away. All those problems go away. You all of a sudden don't need.
But that is incredible.
A lot of the stuff we're talking about.
It's the pressure and the cooling that creates the superconductivity and the superfluidity of the ferrofluid that they're rotating in these donut objects to create the level of energy and the storage of that energy that's required to, alter the fabric of space-time.
Yeah.
Now, I was always under the impression that the Aurora TR3-b also had another one in the centre, as well as the three on the points.
Yeah.
And the one in the centre was the one that was like the larger one that was responsible for most of the like 80% odd of the anti-gravitational effect. And then the ones on the three corners were smaller ones that were more used for just stabilising the craft.
Yeah.
I believe as well.
Yeah, that would make sense, wouldn't it? Because this thing would. I mean, you can imagine controlling this thing when you remove the gravity from it. Any little amount of energy is going to. Spinning this thing like a top. If you try to put too much of a turn on, I imagine controlling it is a bitch. It must be so fine.
And that's another thing that leads me to think that it's possibly the Aurora TR3-b is quite an early design of it with early technology of the anti-gravity propulsion system, and they needed the three stabilizing things on the tips of the triangular shaped craft, and that was maybe that was why that shape was perhaps chosen to stop any rotational.
Yeah, and maybe the Tic Tac
I don't know.
is the next gen of that and doesn't need it anymore. Yeah,
perhaps. Yeah.
So these patents came out and they were granted, widely reported in April 2019. So these patents are true and they are accurate. There's a load of other patents that go out there that the TR3-b patent, but there's this guy,
John Quincy St. Clair. That was it.
So we'll do an episode on that guy because he released lots and lots of patents. None of them were ever granted, but I see this patent for the TR3-b knocking around a lot. The American government, I actually argued with the guy not long ago saying the American government wouldn't patent this technology. They wouldn't, because they don't need to. They would classify it, and once it's classified, that gives them the protections of a patent. Yeah. So why would they patent it? It doesn't make any sense.
Well, but were his patents, none of his patents that he's actually submitted, have any of them actually ever been approved based on observable evidence and creating?
So, but these patents by Salvatore Pei are genuine. They're real, and they have been granted. So, and like I say, when they initially were rejected, the Air Force lawyer came back and actually they used the word operable. And that's huge, because that means this technology isn't just real, it works.
Yeah.
So it's not a theory. It's not a theory, it works.
Yeah. Although the fact that initially the patent office wasn't interested in it, and it took a letter from a senior military figure to verify the patent application. It does make you wonder whether they did meet the normal proof requirements that the patent office, or whether the military went, well, we think the Chinese are building these, we need you to grant this, we want to, you know what I mean, we need to play around with this and get cats back up to the Chinese.
I actually have I was wondering whether it's all misinformation. So my thinking was, Tic Tac videos come out, they've been banding around for years and building up. Tom DeLonge comes along, gets these videos, gets enough public interest in them and enough political interest that the government have no choice but say, okay, these are genuine videos and we don't know what these vehicles are. Then they start drip feeding us information like these patents, because like I said, they could just make these technologies secret. They could classify them, and that gives them the protections. I don't see why they would patent them unless they want it in the public domain.
Yes.
So by putting it in the public domain, are they building up? Are they, getting us ready to go? Actually, it was just us. It's a secret technology, and they just put in with these patents. They just put in enough doubt in our minds, to say it's not aliens, it's us. And I generally thought that was a hoax. I was certain it was a hoax until basically they were granted. It was all over media. I found it on mainstream media sources. So it is genuine, but it doesn't sound real. It's like, if you critically think about it, it's like that's because that's not just like a next step. That's a quantum leap in some of the technology we're talking about.
Yeah.
But I do feel like we're being set up. It's just my instinct is that we're being set up, but we'll see. I think I said last video is that they've said they've done the weather balloons for years, and now they've realised people are cleverer than that. They're not stupid as they used to be. We're going to have to come up with a better weather balloon.
Yeah, and they're not buying it anymore.
They're not buying it anymore, so we're going to have to come up with a better bit of bullshit. And I feel that may be what's happening here.
Maybe. It would have seemed weird if they've operated, well, as I personally believe, since the the 40s and 50s, since the Roswell incident. They've probably been reverse engineering, down craft. If they've kept it quiet for all this time and kept all this technology under wraps, why would they now suddenly, or even since the early 2000s, in the case of John Quincy St. Clair, the patents with him as well, why would they release? Unless it's just to put disinformation out there, and that maybe John Quincy St. Clair is really just a CIA operative that's just putting a load of disinformation patents out there that never get granted. So people
Exactly.
are more
It's just to
wary
put
that
enough
the
doubt.
technology exists, enough doubt in people's mind. I don't know. It does seem weird though. Why would they do it after years of secrecy?
Yeah, I just think it's because it's put enough doubt in my mind. You know, I was convinced the Tic Tac video, there's no way that could be man-made. No way. And now even I'm going, oh, God, maybe it is. Maybe it is just a drone. If it is a drone, we should all be really scared because that is seriously high tech. I mean, that's not even next gen stuff. That's beyond that. You know, the Americans just admitted, the Air Force in America just admitted they have got the next gen fighter, and they've built one. And he said that they've actually gone from development to flying within a year, and that's breaking all records, and it's amazing. But it is still, you know, a fighter with a jet engine and whatever else.
Yeah.
This technology, if they've got it, makes that completely obsolete. Why that? I don't even know why they're bothering developing it if they're about to tell us that this thing, you know, exists. This technology exists.
They've still got to play the game, I suppose, in order to keep the real new propulsion systems and the new technology secret, as technology wins a war. Then you have to keep the front up, don't you? You have to keep the front up to the rest of the world that this is the next gen fighter that's still jet engine based, and it's probably not cost that much to develop because they probably just used old jet engine technology, old aircraft designs that Lockheed have had in the locker for many years, etc. When really most of the money's being piled into the black budget op that you're not told anything about. That's probably a bit of that. I also think there's a little bit of that with NASA to an extent as well.
But it seems to me that, like I said, there's a massive gap in their capability that they would want to fill, and the TR3-b would fill it. I would say I'm actually 100% certain of an aircraft like this exists, and I never go 100% ever.